Your Tesla Barbarian here. We're here live talking about the Cybertruck and the Osborne Effect. Your Tesla Barbarian here with Artemis, the producer, back there on the ones and twos. Please feel free to talk to us here in the chat. Anything you've got, any questions you have, any advice, any concerns, let us know. Comments, compliments, or otherwise, we're here for you. If you're here and you're enjoying the stream, if you do me a favor, just hit that like button. It just takes a second, but it really does help us out. I know we've all heard about the algorithm, and the algorithm is the boogeyman that looks over all of our shoulders. So if you hit like for me, I would sincerely appreciate it. So, talking about the Osborne Effect, even going all the way back to 2019, I wondered if the Tesla Cybertruck, which Elon Musk says is Tesla's best, most compelling product ever, I was wondering already if that truck was going to cause an unforeseen Osborne Effect for Tesla. Let's get into it. First off, what is the Osborne Effect? I know that not everybody knows what the Osborne Effect is. Back in the early 80s, Osborne Computer Corporation was making computers. It was an example of one of the earliest commercially viable consumer computers. In 1981, they started selling the Osborne 1. As it was selling moderately well in the early 80s, obviously, like any other company, they wanted to iterate on their idea, to improve it, and to come out with new consumer products for their consumer base. The owner of the company, one of the owners of the company, Adam Osborne, he started to tease the idea of new and better computers that were going to be coming out. In about 1983, he pre-announced, not even a full unveiling, just pre-announced like a teaser about two new computers that were coming. The Osborne Executive, that was going to be the follow-up to the Osborne 1, and then the Osborne Vixen, which would even be a follow-up to the Osborne Executive. And he pre-announced and teased the fact that those computers would have far greater capability than the Osborne 1. What he was hoping for was that the idea of the Osborne Executive and the idea of the Osborne Vixen would draw attention to the Osborne Computer Corporation, and that then would translate into increased sales of the Osborne 1, the Osborne's other product. What ended up happening was an unforeseen impact. Because of the fact that the Osborne Executive and the Vixen were touted as having far greater capability than the Osborne 1, suppliers just canceled their orders for the Osborne 1 entirely. Consumers lost interest in the Osborne 1. People stopped buying it. Basically, what the market was saying was that, well, if this computer's garbage, but you're coming out with one that's worth something, I'll just wait for that one. Unfortunately, what that ended up happening was the Osborne Computer Corporation went bankrupt. The Osborne Executive, the Osborne Vixen, never made it to market. Now, I don't think that that type of gigantic negative impact would happen on Tesla, but I do have concerns, and I'm just wondering about whether or not they're Osborning themselves with the Cybertruck. And I wondered this back then. Now that we know the pricing and the specs, et cetera, we've got to talk about it. So, going back to 2019, when the Cybertruck was first unveiled. Now, for me, I had the experience that when it was first unveiled, it came out of that smoky tunnel, and I remember thinking to myself, what is that? Man, they screwed it up. That is garbage. And by the time it made it all the way up onto the stage, I said, I'm ordering that. I went through the whole emotional roller coaster over the course of about 5 seconds. Now, when that unveiling happened, what were we promised? At that time, we were promised the 500 plus miles of range in the tri-motor. We were promised 2.9 seconds 0 to 60. We were promised transparent metal, indestructible armor glass. Even though the demo went awry, the fact is that glass really held up much better than you would expect normal glass to hold up. And also they did the demonstration with the steel balls being dropped onto the different pieces of glass from different heights. So yeah, the transparent metal and then that rugged, durable stainless steel exoskeleton all in a package for $69,900 is what was promised then. Now, even in that moment, I noticed an Osborne Effect starting to take place right away, myself included. I have to say that, who we got in the chat here? Banya 4 is letting us know that the sound is terrible. Thank you for letting us know. Artemis, the producer, can you take a look at that for us? On the sound being terrible. Check 1, 2. All right, producer's making some adjustments there. If you could just give me a 1 in the chat if the sound is better, and we'll keep going from there. If it continues to be horrible, I sincerely apologize, and we'll kind of back up and punt and try something else. But give me a 1 in the chat if you can hear me okay at this point. I appreciate you pointing that out. We are here to help. we want you guys to enjoy the stream, and we'll try to get that fixed for you. So, going back to the 2019 iteration of the Osborne Effect, even myself, like obviously the Tesla Model X was the dream car at the time, but once the possibility of a durable stainless steel, can't be scratched, can't be dented exoskeleton vehicle came out, I said to myself, well, why would I want to spend $100,000 on a car that's all fragile and paint that can be scratched and the panels that can be dented, when I could spend far less money and get a car that's essentially indestructible, which is what I did. Instead of trying to find a way to stretch the budget and order one of the more expensive models, or even to order the Model 3, which was available at the time, or the Model Y that came out in 2021, I plunked down my money for a Cybertruck reservation right then. 2019, I reserved mine. Let's see what we got here. All right, somebody's saying, I think that's Robert is saying the microphone might be too close. Let's give that a shot. Moving that away, I'm willing to try anything. We are streaming here IRL, as the producer likes to say. In real life, we're out here live streaming. We can't control the elements, but trying to do our best with the sound and the video quality. We're doing what we can for you. So I appreciate it very much, you guys pointing it out to us. So keep letting us know, keep giving us the feedback, and we'll keep adjusting. We're adjusting on the fly. If this works, I'd like to do one of these outdoor live streams every week for you guys, if we can get the sound down right. But so it didn't make sense. It did not make fiscally responsible sense to plunk down so much money on a car that could get dented, scratched, banged up, that was fragile, when you could get similar performance. At the time, they were promising 2.9 0 to 60 time, and you could get the durable exoskeleton, so the vehicle wouldn't get banged up, wouldn't get scratched, wouldn't get injured, essentially. So that first round of Osborne Effect was right then. I know for sure that it happened to me, and I also think, I know for certain that many people that I spoke to in the Tesla community felt the same way, that they were willing to hold off and hold out for the Cybertruck. Now that kind of, again, myself included, that kind of fell by the wayside. I ended up in 2022, I couldn't wait anymore, and I got the Model 3 that you see behind me. I've been very, very careful with it. It is a delicate flower, but I'm still waiting. I might still have my Cybertruck reservation, still waiting for it, still excited for it. I have not gotten the email yet, but hopefully I'll get my call to arms soon enough. And I do still intend to take delivery of it. But everybody that I knew back then was kind of having the same dilemma, that they wanted a Tesla, but if you could get one that can't get scratched and can't get dented, why put down money now for something that'll get scratched and dented if what you really want is coming in the future? So that is a pure example of true Osborne Effect. The Cybertruck, a product that was not available at the time, Osborne some of the sales of cars that could have occurred back then in 2019. Now what we've got going on is now we have the Cybertruck is available to some extent. It's being delivered to some extent, and we know the full specs and the final pricing of it. So let's talk about that. How do I theorize that this could be Osborning, Tesla could be Osborning itself yet again? And what do we got here? Banya says Starlink needed. I want you to know, Banya, that is a conversation that the producer and I had right before going live. We think we need to get on the waiting list for Starlink here in the area and get Dishy McFlatface and set him up right here so that we can have some really good internet connection for live streaming. That is something that's on the books. It's on the wish list. We'll see if we can get that going for you. So at the peak of Model S and Model X costs, sometime in 2022, when you fully spec'd out a Model S or a Model X, it would be right there in the $150,000 range. The Model X, especially at its peak, fully spec'd out, got up to $154 if you had FSD and everything else. That's a huge amount of money, but then when you compare that with the price of a Model S or a Model X today, it has significantly come down, and we're not even 18 months later. So at the time that the S and the X were at their peak of costliness, their peak pricing, where it was extremely expensive to try to own either one of those vehicles, I made a Cybertruck prediction video that's available on the channel. You can go and see it. I haven't touched it. I haven't edited it. I haven't changed anything. It was posted back then. It stayed up exactly as it is so that you can see what I predicted back then. It was an in-depth video, and I showed my math, my research, and my reasoning for my predictions. And at the time, I theorized that the single motor would not happen. I theorized that the dual motor would be released first and that it would cost $63,890. And then at the time, there was a lot of rumblings about the quad motor, and I predicted that the quad motor would be the other trim that would be available, essentially their beast version, and I predicted that one would be $105,900. Now, when it actually started delivering on the 30th, the actual price, the dual motor was released, $79,990, and the tri-motor beast was $99,990. Now, the single motor is still purported as going to be delivered, but not until 2025. I want you to know my feeling on that hasn't wavered. I don't think that the single motor rear-wheel drive Cybertruck will ever be delivered and owned by anybody. It's my opinion. I'm putting it out there. Feel free to flame me in the comments. It's just my opinion. I think that they put the single motor out there because it would be the least expensive trim, and that they had to put it out there so that they could have something measurably close to that price point that they promised us back in 2019. So it's on there, it's on the menu, but you can't even, the current price of S and X, S is $89,990, X is $94,990. Those are the plaids I'm talking about. So that price drop of $20,000 plus is significant, and it only took about 18 months. At that time, people were going home with the S Plaid and the X Plaid at that $150,000 price point because the price drops that Tesla did were unprecedented. It had never been done before. So nobody expected or predicted such a significant price drop in such a short period of time. So everybody who was able, everybody who had that level of wealth was running off with these cars. But now we know that Tesla is capable of making that type of a price swing, that type of a price drop in such a short period of time. Sam Wilson says, would love a Cybertruck, but I'm from the UK and I don't think it's coming to Europe because of crash safety regulations. Sam, what kind of crash safety regulations in the UK are there that you think would prevent that? I mean, I've been to several countries in Europe, and one of the things that I noticed was that the roads often are a lot more narrow than in the United States, and I thought that would be one of the significant safety concerns about having such a large vehicle. But are there specific safety regulations, Sam, that when it comes to crash testing that you think would prevent it? I know the Cybertruck is a beast. It's like a tank that you can take home with you, and so you know, Elon even made the comment during the delivery event that if you get into an argument with another car, you will win. And so I can see how that could be a potential safety concern for some folks. Robert White says the USA has 1.9 million Cybertruck orders to get through. Cybertruck no more risky than other trucks. Pedestrians can slide up the front. He said pedestrians can slide up the front. There's nowhere to go with other trucks. I can't argue with his I can't argue with his logic. The front of the Cybertruck is essentially a ramp. It's an inclined plane, and so they slide up the truck and down the other side. I could see that because, you know, like a Ford Lightning is just flat on the front, and you know, like a Dodge Ram, it says Ram right on the front. They're coming for you. So I can't argue with you, Robert. You make an excellent point there. Not a lot of trucks in the UK is what Robert says. And then Belkster says the UK has specific body curvature dimensions regardless of safety. Okay. I don't know a whole lot about that. I'm going to have to educate myself to make. I can't speak intelligently on it right now, but I will educate myself, and maybe we'll talk about that stuff in a future live stream. So going back to Tesla's unprecedented price drop, Osborne Effect round 2 as it pertains to the Cybertruck for me is the fact that I have seen in the community on X, on YouTube, and speaking to people in person where they say, yes, I still want my Cybertruck, but I'm going to wait 18 or 24 months and see just how far the price drops, which makes sense to me. I sincerely believe that when it gets up to volume production 18 to 24 months from now, they're going to make another $20,000 adjustment, which would put the price point right there in the wheelhouse of where they promised it. It's kind of that, I can get you there, I just can't get you there today. And that's what Tesla essentially is telling us, that right now, in today's macro environment, with the low volumes that they're able to produce today, this is what the Cybertruck has to cost in order to be viable. But unfortunately, the entire Tesla community and the world at large has seen this movie before. We know how it ends. And so people are waiting for the sequel. They're waiting to see that Cyber Beast come out at $79,000 and the dual motor all-wheel drive come out at $59,000, because then it's reasonable and affordably priced for what you get for the truck. But how badly is that going to damage Tesla in the meantime, where only the ultra wealthy are able to take delivery of their trucks? My answer to that question is Tesla is still going to sell every single Cybertruck that comes off the line, because there are plenty of people in that ultra wealthy top tax bracket that see that thing, that want it, and will take it at any price, which is a good thing for the rest of us, because we mere mortals that have to wait for that big price drop 2 years from now, that means that the rich folks are going to be funding the production of it until the price drop comes, and we regular blue-collar folks can have the opportunity to own the truck that we really want. But it doesn't change the fact that the psychological impact is there. And that can't be ignored moving forward through the rest of Tesla's product roadmap. They have to remember that the Tesla community is keeping in mind and baking into our predictions that significant price drop that happens when they get up to volume production. Let's see here. Oh no, that wasn't it. I apologize. I thought somebody had sent another message, but I missed it. If you haven't hit the like button yet, I would truly, truly, truly appreciate it. It really does help us. Just takes a second. Just go over it, click the like button. You know, as I said earlier, the algorithm's after all of us. And so anything you can do to help me fight back against the algorithm, I'd appreciate it. So if you can hit that like button, if you're enjoying the stream, I would appreciate it. And as I said earlier, me and the producer back there, we really want to start doing these live streams on a weekly basis. So we're going to be doing that. So now that we all know that Tesla's capable of those price drops, current Cybertruck reservation owners could potentially choose to kick the can down the road and wait 18 months, 24 months, or even longer. I mean, we've already waited 4 years, right? In for a penny, in for a pound. So this is, again, almost textbook Osborne Effect. The only difference is that the Cybertruck is available now, but people might choose to kick the can on down the road. Of course, at the same time, we do have to take into account that Elon might be raising the price of FSD concurrently through those intervening months and years. I have not heard anything yet about whether or not Tesla is honoring the quote-unquote locked-in FSD price. Supposedly, when I put down my money for my Cybertruck reservation, I supposedly locked in, quote-unquote, my FSD price at $7,000, which of course now, you know, is between 12 and 15,000 depending on what day of the month it is. I haven't heard anything. If anybody in the chat has heard something, if you know anybody or if you've seen confirmation online, one way or the other, if Tesla is or is not honoring that locked-in FSD price, I know it's something that we're all wanting to know. Let's see here. What's the towing capacity? See, N2 Tech says, what's the towing capacity of the X versus the truck? I do not know. Producer, can you check that for us? Can you Google the towing capacity of Model X versus the towing capacity of the truck? I believe, if I remember correctly, the Cybertruck towing capacity is 11,000 pounds. The Cyber Beast, that is. The Cyber Beast has a towing capacity of 11,000 pounds, and Artemis, the producer, is going to check on.
2,200 kilograms.
What is it?
2,200 kilograms.
2,200 kilograms is the tow. So what is that, like 6,000 pounds ish? So I've personally been privy to conversations in the community of people who I know for sure are going to be kicking the can down the road and doing their best to do exactly that. If for no other reason, to try to avoid the same fate that the early owners of the Plaid S and the Plaid X ended up suffering. And I hate to say it this way, Tesla, in my experience, in my observation, Tesla really has done their very best to do right by the consumer most of the time. And that price drop that occurred without warning, I'm not saying that I interpret that as them doing wrong by the consumer. They're absolutely making it available to exponentially more people, making it affordable to exponentially more people. But an unfortunate effect and impact of that is that you had many, many S and X owners that took delivery right away that found themselves upside down on their car. If they financed a $150,000 car, and then next thing you know, you can get a new one for 90 grand, a year and a half later, they're upside down. They're upside down. And if you don't have that 150 grand to pay out of pocket and not be under a financing agreement, then you could find yourself in that situation. And so it's not unreasonable for people to want to say, no, I'm going to wait because I don't want the value of my car to go into the dirt 18 months from now. And I understand it. I can't be upset with them, and I'm not upset with them. I can see both sides of that equation. For me, I appreciate the fact that Tesla is sticking to what they declared in their not-so-secret master plan, where they planned on making the vehicles, and they knew they had to start at the top end of the market, but they're trying to drive costs down and then pass those cost savings on to the consumers, driving the retail price of their cars down, especially these days with the macro environment being difficult, the economy being difficult, interest rates being up, at least in the current moment. That also changes with the wind. You know how it goes. N2 Tech says, do you think Tesla should have focused on the truck being bulletproof for the regular buyer? You know, Jay Leno, when Elon was on Jay Leno's Garage, Jay Leno essentially asked him the same question, basically asking him, what the heck did you make it bulletproof for? And Elon said, well, I mean, if I can make it bulletproof, do you want your truck to be bulletproof or not? As far as focusing on it being bulletproof, the average buyer does not find themselves under fire every day. And so the average buyer, that probably does not weigh into the average truck purchaser's decision-making process as much as the truck being durable and not being dented. The fact that it's stainless steel, durable, it can't be dented and it can't be scratched, for me, the average pickup truck guy that wants to either drive it on a work site or has to move objects in the bed or really wants to use the truck to do something that's not just being a pavement princess, the fact that it can't be scratched and can't be dented, that would play a bigger role in the decision-making process than being bulletproof. Or even the fact that it has a 0 to 60 time of 2.6 seconds. That's fantastic. I love that. That's a lot of fun, but it probably doesn't factor into that decision-making process as much as this truck can't be dented. This windshield won't break when a rock hits it. The battle wagon right here, I had to replace a rock on, it costed me $500. That was just my deductible. They had to recalibrate the autopilot cameras and all that. all over a rock, you know, just flew up off the road and took out my windshield. That's not going to be a problem with the Cybertruck. Those things I think will play a role more than the bulletproof part. I'm not objecting to it being bulletproof. Given the option, I'll take bulletproof all day long. But I will say one thing that concerns me is that right now it seems like the price is the #1 decision-making influencer right now. Everyone's talking about the price. Everybody's worried about the price over anything else. Robert White says 2250 kilograms is 4,960 pounds. Wow, I was way off with the 6,000 pounds thing, huh? These Americans in our imperial system, what can I say? So then the capacity of the X would be 4,960 versus the 11,000 pound capacity of the Cyber Beast. Producer, can you check the towing capacity of the all-wheel drive? That way we can give that to the viewers as well. Now, N2 Tech, don't get it wrong. I love the fact that the truck is bulletproof. It's, you know, it comes up in all the conversations. But I just, for example, I can see somebody in a parking lot randomly just taking a rock and tossing it at the car to see if it really is dent-proof or scratch-proof. I don't see people walking by the car and putting bullets in the side to demonstrate that it's bulletproof. You know, is it a conversation piece? Yes, but as far as a demonstration piece, I'll let Elon do that to the ones that he owns. That's the towing capacity of the all-wheel drive is 11,000 pounds, or the Cyber Beast? Cyber. So what's the all-wheel drive, the dual motor? Okay. N2 Tech says, I hear you. I recently had to replace the windshield on my Model Y. They tried to replace with generic, but I insisted on a factory part. Yeah, you definitely need to do that. I went with Safelite, and Safelite did a great job with it. I know that some people have had negative experiences with third-party replacements because they forget to recalibrate the autopilot cameras. And then they don't have the use of autopilot. But honestly, recalibrating the autopilot cameras is most of the time should be as easy as driving the thing between 20 and 50 miles. But you have to make sure that they do that. Otherwise, you get all kinds of alerts and you're unable to turn on auto steer and all that stuff. I didn't go with a replacement from Tesla because of the fact that Tesla was going to require me to pay out of pocket and then get reimbursed by my insurance company. Safelite dealt directly with my insurance company, and I just paid them the deductible. So Safelite is my personal recommendation, or rather, not recommendation. Let me say, Safelite is the one that I went with. I'm not saying that you should, because I don't know what your Safelite in your area would be like, but N2 Tech, we feel each other's pain on the windshield replacement. That alone for me says, yes, Cybertruck over Ford Lightning, because I don't want to have to replace a windshield if it gets hit by a rock. So, all right, Berserkers. I want to say thank you to EKSTER Luxury Accessories for sponsoring this live stream. If you're looking for that last-minute Christmas gift for that special Viking, Barbarian, or Templar knight in your life, check out EKSTER Luxury Accessories. The link is in the description of this live stream. They've got luxury wallets, keychains, and gym bags and other accessories. I personally do. I really do carry an EKSTER wallet. I'm not just saying that. I carry the EKSTER wallet with the switchblade action to get the cards out, and I even keep one of the EKSTER tracker cards in my wallet. If ever I lose it, it pings it for me, drops a pin right on a map, tells me where it's at, and I can track it in real time. So click the link in the description. Use the coupon code BATTLE, BATTLE, to get up to 35% off between now and Christmas. I sincerely appreciate every single one of you being here. If you enjoyed this, hit the subscribe button. We got new videos coming out every week, and we're definitely going to do another live stream a week from now. If you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments, leave them in the chat. I read every comment that comes along. I truly appreciate you guys. I have the best viewers on the planet. Mount up, Berserkers! We're headed to the next